Well, here we are again. Happy 2022. Yes, I got a haircut. I got rid of all my hair. Last year, around the same time, I posted a video about 2020 and my plans for 2021. And that video did really well and people seem to really enjoy just me talking about all the projects that I did in a year. So I thought I'd repeat that. So here we are. Funny thing I want to say first is that I did not do half of the projects that I was talking about in that video. I just get derailed a lot. Projects pop up, things happen, and that's okay. It was a pretty busy year knitting wise. Sometimes I look back and I'm like, how? I don't know how I did all of that. So I'm gonna try to get through all my projects kind of fast because there's a lot of them. I might also touch on sewing, which is harder because there's not really like a Ravelry for sewing. So I have to think more and remember what I did. I got my Ravelry list here on the iPad. I think maybe I'll go in categories instead of in order. I did a lot of socks last year, like a lot of them. I designed my own socks, the Firescape socks, which was really fun, and I should make another pair of those of my own pattern. I did the Tauriel socks, and I also did some blue socks that I designed with Bellish. Sadly, if you follow Bellish and you see that email, the app is going away, which was really sad because last year I did a lot of projects using that app and I did a lot of partnerships with them. So that was a really sad news to hear for me. But anyway, I did create that sock pattern with them. So technically 2 sock patterns that I made. And then I also made the coffee bean socks. So all of these links you'll find on the description. The year before I only made 1 pair of socks, and then suddenly this year I made like 4 or 5. I have a lot of socks in my drawer right now. Yeah, sock knitting. What is it about it that a lot of people get scared of knitting socks? I wasn't scared, I was more before like, what's the point? You can just buy socks. But isn't that what you could say about every single thing you knit? Back on the list, I did make quite a few sweaters. The first one I actually made for my husband because I had this tradition of making him a sweater every year. This year I didn't quite make him one because I didn't have time. I had a lot of Christmas gifts to do. But I did make an extra sweater for him last year, so I think it kind of balances out. I used Knit Picks wool of the Andes, which is not the softest wool, but it's like, I needed something with durability because he does wear it a lot, and it just looks great, and the fit was perfect. Like, chef's kiss to this sweater. Another sweater that was actually on my list and I did finish it is the Hinterland sweater. This was my first colorwork sweater. I picked one in which I was only using 2 color strands, not to go too crazy. I actually wore it to Riverbank when I went to Riverbank, and then I never made a video about it. Yeah, and everybody complimented me. I love the patterns by Jennifer Steingas. Another sweater I made, and this was at the beginning of the year, but then I didn't really talk or post about it much because it was a gift. So I was making a gift for my mom, who I never knitted a sweater for before, and I thought she would really like it, and she did. And I didn't give it to her until Christmas because I didn't see her until then, so I had to kind of keep it secret. And this was the Corrie sweater, which again, cables. I was kind of in a cable mood at the time. So that's sweater number 3 that I made that year. Then, according to my Ravelry, it's not a sweater, but it's a t-shirt type of thing. I made a mangrove tee. This was made kind of by accident. It wasn't on my list either. I was giving as a gift, We Are Knitters gift card, and I was like overwhelmed. I didn't know what to buy, and I bought a kit for one of their sweaters. I forget which one, but then when I got it, I wasn't really into it. Like, I really didn't like the fit and how it was going, so I decided to scratch that, and I just furiously looked for a pattern that would fit that. And so I found the Mangrove tee by Trust the Mojo, and so I made it, and I loved it so much that I'm making a second one that I'm gonna give to my sister. So here's the ongoing work for the second Mangrove tee that I'm making that I didn't quite finish, but also using We Are Knitters cotton yarn. After the Mangrove tee, I made a sweater, again using Bellish, I named the Audrey Sweater, and it was just a sweater with stripes, 3/4 length, kind of like the one I'm wearing right now. and I actually liked it a lot. We've been wearing it for a while. There's a video on that if you want to check it out. And then after that, and this is the reason why I'm like, it's fine that I didn't knit a sweater for my husband this year, even though it was our 5th anniversary. I made another project with Bellish, which you can also watch here, one of my favorite videos from last year. And it was actually a Star Trek inspired sweater. So it's just a simple pullover, like nothing very special about it, except for the fact that it is mimicking the Captain Kirk uniform. So it's a yellow sweater, it has a patch, it has a v-neck, and he loved it. And that was a second sweater that I made for him that year. So like it evens out. And then after that, I made more sweaters. I made a top that was designed by me that took me months to get to that point, and I'm still testing it, and it's called a Cempasuchil top inspired by my Mexican culture, Day of the Dead. I hope that one will come out in the next month or so. Keep an eye on it, but I really enjoy knitting it. So if you're interested, follow and I will keep you updated on when that comes out. Last year I talked about the Botanical Yoke sweater and how that was like this dream sweater that I wanted to make, and I did. And then after I made it, one of my friends was obsessed with it when she saw it, and then she saw it in person and was like, I really need this sweater too. And so I knit it again. It's kind of crazy because it was about the same time, around the same time of the last year, so I would never have thought that exactly a year later I would be knitting the same sweater. And it was great. I loved it. It is a fun pattern, and it was a little bit faster the second time around because I already knew what I was doing, I guess. But it's definitely not in my list for this year. So it wasn't before either. Those were all the sweaters that I made. I don't even know how many, 5, 6? I already lost count. There was one more sweater that I made. It was a dog sweater. It was also a Purl Soho pattern, and after I made it and I gave it to my dog in Mexico, found that there is actually a Botanical Yoke sweater version for dogs, so obviously I need to make that now. And so maybe that'll be my third Botanical Yoke sweater, actually, a doggy one. Some honorable mentions of other things that I made that year. I did make the Linser throw pillow, which was in my list last year, I think. I think everything else in my Ravelry were gifts. So I made an amigurumi for the first time. That was a gift from my friend. I made some coasters, another gift for another friend. I also made the Tansy caplet, which I found in a book, and I gave that to my friend Mia as a gift. I made the winter cobbler throw blanket, which was a gift for my brother who just moved to Seattle and is experiencing cold for the first time in his life. So I also made another amigurumi. Even though I try to focus on garments, sometimes it's fun to just crochet a little toy. So I made this squid called Hubble the Squid, and I gave it to a friend who loves squids. I think that covers about it all. According to Ravelry, that was 25 projects that I made. Yeah, it was a pretty busy year. Again, I didn't quite follow what I had planned, but that's okay. As you can tell, I did a lot of gifts, so sometimes that just gets you off your list. As for sewing, off the top of my head, I made a 1950s dress, a blue dress, which I'm still making a video about. I'm really proud of that dress. Then I got into a frenzy and I made a 1930s dress, which I'm obsessed with. I love it. I will wear it forever. I did not make a video about that one, but oh my gosh, I did make a video. How can I forget? Yes, I made a video about the 1930s dress, so you can watch that. I also made a 1920s dress, which I wore at an event, which you can also watch a video about. So far we got 20s, 30s, and 50s that I covered. And then after that, I started working on my Halloween costume, which was Star Trek themed, which is why I made that Star Trek Kirk sweater. You can watch both videos because I made 2 separate videos. Oh yes, I also sewed this play suit, this 1950s play suit that I literally didn't finish until I was at the beach and sewing the buttons. So yeah, there was a lot of vintage sewing in the past year. I'm very proud of myself. I don't really have plans for sewing this year. Like I am gonna make stuff, I'm not sure what. I kind of want to make pants, but I haven't settled on which ones or what kind. And maybe some more dresses. I do have a like 1960s Mary Quaint pattern that I downloaded and I really want to try. If you have any recommendations on vintage patterns or things that you would like me to sew, if you're interested in that, let me know. Otherwise, let me go back to knitting and crocheting and talk a little bit about what's to come, both in this channel and in my knitting. But let's be real, last year I only did 2 out of all the ones that I talked about. So one thing that I am for sure making is the Shifty Sweater by Andrea Mori. I have had this sweater in my list for a long time now, and I really wanted to do it. And when I went to Riverbank, I got some yarn. This isn't all of it, but as you can tell, it's kind of like a purple pinkish hue that I went for. And these are Primrose yarns. That's gonna be my first sweater of the year. I don't know, I just, you know, I started with a very simple color work, so I immediately jumped into something that looked way more complicated. Although I've heard that this sweater looks very complicated, but isn't really. So we'll see how I do with that. Next up on my list, I have other sweaters, and I'm trying to stick to things that I actually have the yarn for in my stash already, or that I already had planned in the past and bought it but never started it. I have the Minerva cardigan by Fable Knitwear, which was in my list for last year and I never got to it, but I have the yarn. It's this blue turquoise yarn that I got from Maine, so I have the sweater quantity for it, and I also got some cute buttons to make this cardigan. I haven't really ever made a cardigan. This is just like a very usable, simple one that I think would be really good in my wardrobe and I really want to make. There's also another sweater by the same designer called the Heirloom Sweater. Sorry, Heirloom Jumper. That one's really, really cute too. So for that one, I got this yarn from Purl Soho last year. It's called Sweetgrass, and it's a blend of organic cotton and alpaca. I have a few accessories that I'm just gonna, they're still on my list, like these Through the Stone gauntlets, which were in my last year lists. I really want to make them, so they're staying in my list. There's this little cute bow tie keyhole scarf that I just think it will be very functional and cute and kind of has like that vintagey vibe. The Ivy Dean hat again. Okay, this is just, am I just going back onto the old video and just repeating everything that I didn't make? Yes, it looks like I am. I just, you know, I really want to make those things. I just never had time to do it. One new thing that I want to make, and I do not have the yarn for, but it's just kind of, it got in my head and I really want to make it, is this poof, just to put your feet up. Because we don't have anything, we don't have an ottoman or anything to put our feet up, and so it's called the Milk Bun Poof, and it has cables in it because I'm not just gonna make a poof, I'm gonna add cables to it, obviously. I do want to make another throw blanket because the ones I made last year were all gifts, so I kind of want one for us. I kind of have my eye on the Sandman throat by the Bros, which is crochet, and I don't know, I love texture. Finally, last but not least on this list is these Frog and Toad toys that I found. Obviously, I have to make them. Everything I'm talking about you can find on the description. I will put all the links to it. But I am obsessed with these. They have like the little clothes, the little pins, and the little, like, it's so cute. That is kind of what I am planning for the next year, for 2022. Like I said, it's encouraging that I already have the yarn, and I'm trying like not to buy too much yarn. I say the same thing every year. I say the same thing, it never happens. Stick with me here, because I am planning off of things that are already on my stash. I am hopeful that this is actually gonna happen, and that I will not get too sidetracked, and that, you know, in the end, this is just for fun. So I hope that your plans for 2022 also come true, and that you are staying safe. And, you know, this is the second year that we're on this pandy, and, you know, at this point, I'm just kind of holding on to whatever I can, and knitting is one of those things, and that I enjoy still. I actually completed my resolution from last year, which was to post regularly. I post at least once every month, so I am really grateful for that. It's really hard having like a full-time job and, you know, a life, and then also doing this on the side. But I managed to do it, and I want to continue doing it, and I have a lot of plans for videos this year on projects. Stay around. Thank you everyone who has followed over the past year, and I promise I will try to keep posting regularly. Let me know if there's anything you would like to see or know or whatever. I love to welcome ideas into this channel. So happy new year and happy knitting!